Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Real View, real views from real people, where we look at film, TV and music, share our opinions, what we like, what we don't like, maybe even a little bit of analysis if we're feeling spicy. In this episode, we are looking at the TV show Marvel's Wonder Man. My name is Miles, that's Miles with Y. You can follow me across all social platforms at Miles Reviews. And please do all that good stuff, share, like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification button to stay up to date with all content and videos I'm making. As with all episodes, there are time codes in the description so you can skip forward, skip back, time travel for the episode at your will. We use a 3-tier rating system here. From top to bottom, it's tapping straight to my veins. This sandwich is filling but not satisfying, and that's not it. So how you guys doing? What have you been watching, listening to recently? How you guys doing in the world in general? Let me know what's going on with you. I'd love to hear from you. Hit me up in the comments below. And yes, we are looking at Wonder Man. Here are my thoughts. Tinseltown, they be acting their big breaks, get it cracking. So long they're afraid, must keep everyone safe. Trying to watch Wonder Man. that was terrible. I was trying to think of what song would work, and I was gonna go with like YMCA. Wonder Man, but like I'm sure I've done that before with another review. So I wanted to try something different, and I tried Emily Sandé Wonder. I was like, nah, it's too complicated. But yeah, these are the inner workings of me trying to start every review with a song. And that's probably one of my worst, I've got to say. So sorry you had to endure that. But anyway, here we are. Yeah, Wonder Man. How don't we start these things? Right, okay. So, yeah. This is Wonder Man. Start with the non-spoilers first. Obviously, Wonder Man, what's it all about in Governor? Simon Williams, Yahya Abdul Mateen II, which is a name I butchered throughout my review, as you'll hear later, but I'm getting it right now, is a working actor. Well, not butchered. I just got it. Anyway, let me start this way. Simon Williams, Yahya Abdul Mateen II, is a working actor still trying to get his big break. His path crosses with disgraced actor Trevor Slattery, Ben Kingsley, and through their shared love of acting, they form a friendship, all whilst Simon tries to keep a superpowered secret. This is directed by Destiny Daniel Cretton, Tiffany Johnson, Stella, Meghie, and James Ponsoldt. Written by Destiny Daniel Cretton, Andrew Guest Attell, based on the comic books and characters created by Don Heck, Jack Kirby, and Stan Lee. Here's your cast call: Yahya Abdul Mateen II, Ben Kingsley, ex-Mayo, Zlato Buric, Kameron J Meadows, Shola Adewusi, Bechir Sylvian, Demetrius Grosse, Byron Bowers, and Arian Moayed, to name a few. Yeah, so I watched this time recording last week. I really like this show. I thought it's the most non-Marvel thing Marvel have done in a while. It's very meta. I heard some people comparing it to Atlanta in some instances, and there is one episode in particular that is very Atlanta-ish in its delivery, and that would be episode 4, Doorman. No spoilers, obviously, but just an aside to that, I did mention that the Doorman's powers are like Cloak from Cloak and Dagger, but also what I've come to realize is that Doorman is actually a Marvel character. He was part of the Great Lakes Avengers. But yeah, just putting it out there. And yeah, anyway, so this show in total, I did really like it. I had a really good time watching this. It was nice to watch a superhero show that wasn't so, to be honest, it is a superhero comic book show, whatever you want to call it. But it's the least comic booky thing I've watched in this genre, if you know what I mean. Like, it's not so, it's very much more character focused and sort of not a mundane thing, but like from what I can see of the actor's process and trying to make it and whatever, it's very much about that and very true to that. It's very much like the actor's struggle and whatnot, but also with superpowers involved and whatnot. And yeah, I just thought the acting was really good. Obviously, Yahya Abdul Mateen II did a great job portraying Simon. And what I love about Simon's character as well is he's not really that likable. Like there's things about him, and as you learn more about him as a character and why the way he is, not that it excuses the way he is. For you can say that about a lot of people really, but it's all very interesting to watch, and it's all very it's not like just this perfect person or this person that you're absolutely rooting for. If I'm honest, like for me personally, I wasn't rooting for him all the way in some instances because a lot of the time it was just him getting in his own way, and also he's not great with people and stuff like that in a job that requires you to work with people and I guess not fake relationships, but make performative relationships in the work that you're doing and all that kind of thing. So yeah, it was really interesting watch, and yeah, I would love series 2, or I would love just Wonder Man and Trevor Slattery, Simon and Trevor to just pop up in other things. And I've got to say, what a great pairing, what a great duo, unlikely duo, that Simon and Trevor made, and just the way, like the chemistry between Yahya and Ben Kingsley was just, it was in character was really good, and just really enjoyable to watch, really enjoyable to see them go on their little hijinks, what little scrapes they would get themselves into and out of, and just how they work with each other and how they would champion each other, like true, like even though they hadn't known each other that long, they really found sort of like a kindred spirit in each other and really built each other up and were really there for each other. I know in spoilers, I'll get into it more. Trevor obviously is a bit questionable and some of that stuff, but overall, I think their friendship it was just a really nice friendship and a really cool, I would say almost like a kind of buddy comedy drama situation, the way it turns out. But yeah, without spoiling everything. But yeah, I really liked it. It was good, really good. And I just want to quickly shout out to the woman who played Simon's mum, if I can find her name again. That's it, Shola Adewusi. I'm not sure, I don't know if she is, because basically Simon's family are, where are they from? Is it Cameroon? I can't remember, but they speak Creole, and that her name sounds Nigerian. But anyway, besides the point, I've seen her in lots of stuff, especially comedy stuff. Like no major roles or anything. I know this isn't necessarily a huge role, but she's in this, a fair bit, I would say. And yeah, it's just good to see someone like her who I've watched from ages. A bit like the whole situation with the woman in Fantastic Four. Getting some of these more prominent roles. The black woman, I can't remember her name, sorry. But shout out to both of you guys and her being in F1. And anyway, seeing Shola show up in this was cool. But yeah, anyway, that's enough on that. That's pretty much all the non-spoiler talk I have for it. Other than I like the show, it was good and I enjoyed myself. I'm gonna give this tap it straight to my veins. All right, let's get into spoilers. I've just watched episode 1. It's called Matinee. Yeah, quick run through on my thoughts on episode. Isn't it? More of a take on episode 1. I'm not going to break it down. But yeah, so far, this is an interesting show. It's a bit too early to say whether I like it or not. But definitely interesting. Definitely the least Marvel thing I've watched in a while. From episode 1, there's, apart from towards the end, there's no Marvelness in this. But yeah, it was interesting. Kind of interested to see where this goes and what kind of tone shifts there will be, if any. Inevitably, with superpowers and superhero stuff, I imagine there will be. But yeah, interesting. I'm intrigued to see where this goes. I found that the acting in it, like I love seeing good acting in motion, and even just that little audition scene, I feel like really spoke to that. And yeah, I hope there's a bit more of that kind of depth as well. But still, obviously, I want it to be like a fun show. And in terms of Wonder Man, like my biggest knowledge of Marvel's Wonder Man is from that cartoon Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and the kind of tragic story of Simon Williams in that, of him being a scientist that just gets, tragically turned into the superpower guy, who doesn't really want it, and it's kind of ruining his life and that kind of thing. So, yeah, I guess that's the extent of my knowledge when it comes to Wonder Man. It's obviously not that take on this guy. There is another version where he is an actor, which obviously they're doing in this one. But yeah, just interested to see where it goes and all that kind of thing. Good to see Ben Kingsley back, I guess, as Trevor Slattery. Is that his name? I don't know. Good stuff so far. I kind of wish they left the little thread line about him being basically Trevor being used to monitor or entrap Simon, Yahya. I knew I shouldn't have tried to say that until I actually looked up. But yeah, the guy who's playing him. But yeah, I kind of wish they left that out of that episode and just kind of let it be about this struggling actor. I know as a comic book thing that might not be that interesting to people, but I feel like there was enough there to, on a human character level, to just let that fly. But I don't know. What am I saying? What do I know? But yeah, that's how I felt. And yeah, looking forward to see how it goes. And not in any rush to binge it, if I'm honest. But if I had the time, I probably would. But yeah, so far so good. All right, so episode 2, just watched it, self-tape. Yeah, I'm still enjoying this. I mean, it's decent. It's not like knocking out the park for me right now, but the intrigue is picking up a bit more. Yeah, I do kind of want to watch the next episode now, but I feel like I should watch another episode of Fallout when my wife gets back, because that kind of stuff disgusts her. So at least, you know what I mean? When you watch something that not that you shouldn't be watching, but you watch something that somebody else is not into, and they're just visibly not into it or disgusted or whatever, and you're just like, oh no, bad judgment, whatever. But anyway, this episode, obviously he's going to do his audition tape for the casting director of Wonder Man for a separate project or whatever, and you see the friendship between Trevor and Simon forming or developing. Trevor obviously is in a bit of a tough spot in terms of ultimately he's gonna end up befriending this guy for real, but also betraying him. And yeah, I don't know what the fallout's gonna be, but you can imagine there's gonna be a bit of fallout, or at least a moment where Trevor will have to decide if he's gonna fulfill his mandatory agreement to the Department of Damage Control or stand up for his friend. Time will tell. But anyway, yeah, I like the chemistry between these two. It's fun. It's fun. What I realized about the show as well is that even in its branding and its styling, it's very much like how Thunderbolts was, in that it's more of an indie vibe. Even more so, I would say, as we haven't had that much superhero stuff, comic book stuff, as far as I can see. It's more sort of left of what Marvel or your typical superhero movie would do. But I'm enjoying that part of it, and yeah, I love the stuff with Joe Pantoliano. It's very meta. Joe Pantoliano had some posters of some of his movies that he's been involved in around his house in this. Obviously he was in Daredevil, the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. So the only Daredevil movie that I know. But he didn't have that poster up. But it's more he's kind of worked with Marvel before, in a sense. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, that stuff was kind of amusing, kind of funny, and interesting to see play out. I'm still down for the ride. You know what I mean? I will finish even if I'm starting to not like this way, I will still finish it. Episodes are I think it's 8 episodes and only half an hour a piece so far. So it's a kind of easy watch, fairly interesting. Not super high stakes from what I can see so far, but obviously I'm sure it'll probably ramp up towards the end. But yeah, I'm interested to see the direction they're going and what they're doing with this. Yeah, I'm liking what I see so far. Yeah, it's decent. Ben Kingsley, like he's very like versatile. Like, you know what I mean? Like obviously he's a great actor anyway, but just the different ways he can play things. And Trevor Slattery as a character in the MCU has no business really popping up again in any interesting way, but I do find his performances in this as that character and just in the MCU in general quite, I want to, maybe compelling is still too strong a word, but I do find them, a joy to watch. You know what I mean? Like, he was probably one of the best parts of Iron Man 3. Even if it was like, don't come for me. I know the reveal, the switch up on the Mandarin was a bit annoying, but I kind of like the way he played that. You know what I mean? And he's a bit of a mumbling idiot as well in Shang-Chi. Kind of enjoyable, not the best part of that movie. And here he is again, doing this thing. Seeming a bit more capable this time. Seeming a bit more under control with me in a very sober. But yeah, it's just interesting to see. And also the wig work. It looks good, right? It looks like Ben Kingsley actually has hair. So props to the team behind that. But yeah, overall, Yahya Abdul, what's his name? You mean? I forgot the second. So I'll learn his name eventually. But anyway, yeah, he's doing a good job. And the actors be acting. And it's very meta. It's very meta in a way. But yeah, like so far, episode 2. Okay, so for episode 3 is Pacoima. I think that's how you pronounce it. Where little Simon Williams grew up. And yeah, it's this episode was, again, still along the same lines, pretty interesting. We get a bit of a deeper look into Simon Williams' power set. Or at least what kind of triggers him, sets him off. A little look at his family as well, a bit of a peek into his past. Trevor is tasked with having to dig up some dirt on the family and sort of kind of prove that he does have powers and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's interesting seeing sort of how this first happened, possibly where Simon's powers came from and all that kind of thing. Trevor is definitely not a very kind of smooth in terms of trying to glean the information he's trying to glean. Yeah, he also sits out like a sore thumb with all the family, but also his tact and, he's kind of bumbling in the sense that he sort of gets some of the info he needs, but it seems to get a lot less of it when he tries to do it. Simon's family, obviously, a lot of them know he's trying to work as an actor, but he's not like a successful actor at the moment, and a lot of them don't really have the faith, as with many, artistic careers and that kind of thing. It's like, it's hard to, sometimes it can be hard for people to back you and believe in what you're trying to do, especially when the chances of you being the success, at the level of success that people would deem, that you've made it, can be hard to attain sometimes, or seem impossible to attain. So yeah, not a lot of people in your corner in terms of faith in that sense, but you can tell that Simon has a lot of repressed emotions and like sort of maybe not resentment, but just frustration about the way things are and the way his family sees things. His mum is very much, you can tell he's very much like the baby of the family in terms of the way that his mum's relationship is with him. But also I feel like there's the extra element of him being empowered and not being able to control his powers. Adds another layer to it. So there's that as well. Things that stuck out to me in this episode. Yeah, like I said, the relationship between Trevor and Simon is building, and in the end, Simon chucks away the memory card with the recording on it of the wiretap that he's done. Not wiretap, the wire he's been wearing. another decent episode that we're slowly pulling along. I hear the next episode is supposed to be really good, or at least I saw a video on YouTube that I didn't watch that said that the next episode is perfect. So yeah, like I say, I'm enjoying it so far. It's different from Marvel. It's under the Marvel Spotlight banner, which I think was used for Daredevil Born Again and possibly Echo. And I can't remember what that banner specifically pertains to. I thought it was like more mature shows, but maybe not, because this is like a 12 or something. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, enjoying it so far. Yes, so I've gotten around to episode 4, The Doorman. Yeah, I like this episode. Did it live up to the hype that was being sort of talked about? Or at least that I saw in that on YouTube or whatever. Yes and no for me. I feel like it was a really good sort of side story, origin story of, you know, like, yeah, well, if you watch She-Hulk or anything like She-Hulk, of a character that isn't like a huge villain or whatever, more of like an antagonist character, but not even like directly, more like to the point of the story of why Simon can't reveal that he has powers, trying to get an acting role. And to me that was interesting. It was quite humorous the way it was done. The Doorman in himself was an interesting character. The fact that they got Josh Gad in, and I know obviously Disney owned Marvel and Disney, so they would do like a remix of Do You Want to Build a Snowman or whatever it was in summer, should I say, in the club and stuff. And that, you know, this guy, I can't remember the character's name now, but the Doorman was, you know, sort of brought in to be a part of this entourage because of his power and how he managed to save everyone out of this club. It was quite humorous, but also quite sad to see this guy sort of, because this guy was content just being on the door. He had quite a good rapport with all the clubbers and that, and he was good at his job, you know what I mean? He was well liked and he was respected. And although it wasn't like a big job or whatever, it wasn't, and like his former boss said, it's rare to find someone actually happy, or it's, you know, this job is kind of more like a stepping stone into something else or whatever, or like a stopgap, and people are normally on their way to something else, but you know, you seem to be content. And he was. And I want to say though, number one rule, I guess, well, maybe not life, but definitely if you're in a comic book thing, don't touch the goo, man. Don't touch mysterious stuff. You don't know what it is. And yes, I did see the waste bin had a Roxxon company logo on there. And we all know it. Well, if you know the comics, if you know Marvel, Roxxon, never a good thing, man. They always up to some kind of mess. You just don't get involved, you know what I mean? So touching goo, you don't know what it is. First of all, like, I'm not out in these streets just touching wet things. You know what I mean? It's disgusting. I don't know what it is. If I can avoid touching something wet, I will. I won't go out of my way to touch something wet, goo-like substance just because it looks interesting. But, you know, he got these powers and they elevated him to whatever. But then, obviously, he ended up taking out Josh Gad from this dimension or whatever. I don't know. But he's gone in this universe. Josh Gad no longer exists or is lost in this, inside the portals. The Doorman's power is kind of like the Spot, I guess, or Cloak from Cloak and Dagger. Yeah, I guess more so like Cloak because of the entering the teleportation state or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I like this. I really like this. But it's definitely the best one of them so far in terms of intrigue and humor and good storytelling. The other ones, I like the other stuff, but obviously we're building up something, whereas this one was a kind of more of a, not a complete story, but, you know, they filled it all with all you needed for the purpose that was serving. And then the cut to Simon at the end, just seeing the story, you know, in his, in whatever role he was in, probably some medical drama. And yeah, just seeing him shook by it, knowing that he has the powers. And stuff like that. So yeah, it's interesting to see how this will ramp up and stuff. Rather than just have that as, because you could have easily thrown that whole episode away and just done it via exposition to explain why Simon can't work in acting in Hollywood, having the powers that he has. But I like they took their time with it and made this fun little episode kind of thing. That was cool. Yeah, man, I enjoyed it. So yeah, on to the next one. All right, so now on episode 5, found footage. And I'm going to say, yeah, I'm really starting to really enjoy this show. Now that I'm sort of, I guess, comfortable or in tune with the tone of it, and you know, the sort of buddy comedy element of it between Trevor Slattery and Simon Williams. Yeah, it's a really fun. This is a really fun show, and yeah, I think it's definitely more of a comedy so far than it is a drama or a superhero show. Obviously, those elements pop in and out of there. But yeah, I just like the way this is carried off. I like the way that I like the odd couple pairing of them. How obviously as a superpowered person, Simon is very concerned with keeping that under wraps. You know, with this kid filming them, having had this fight, and how Trevor is sort of almost unaware of how how easily his past can continue to keep haunting him, or you know, sort of be detrimental to him just being out and about or whatever. And I feel like Trevor's definitely off mission anyway. Like he's never really down to spy on Simon, but he's sort of only doing it because he didn't really have much of a choice. But now he's definitely being swept up into this callback for the Wonder Man movie. And yeah, he's fully gone native, as the term is, you know, when someone's undercover. It's fully gone native. But what's also interesting and not too subtle is the sort of subtext of the Wonder Man movie that they're being cast in, is that Simon's character is basically Wonder Man and Trevor's character is basically Barnabas, and how that betrayal might come to light, how they might fall out or overcome, or whatever happens with it, you know, be interesting to see. And yeah, I like the alleged drug cartel were actually making candy and stuff. And I really want to try one of those peach loops. Sounds nice. But yeah, it's a fun show. I'm enjoying it. I'm fully into it now. I'm into it. So we're on episode 5. So yeah, I got 2 more to go. Got 2 more? 6, 7, 8. I've got 3 more to go. Quick mouse. Jeez, man. Yeah. Let's see how we go. All right. Okay, episode 6, callbacks or callback. Yeah. So this is where part of the drama side of it sort of ramps up. It's a little bit more serious, ludicrous as well, and still fun. But yeah, still enjoying it, man. This is a decent show. This is a good show, and not your typical superhero show. And really, what's typical? You know, it's just about people in whatever style it's done. It's just about people in different circumstances or whatever. But yeah, I like this, man, and I think there's a part of where I know like acting can be like sort of can be a wishy-washy, like, I don't know, made to be bigger than it is kind of art form. But I really respect and enjoy being entertained by really good acting. Like, you know, when you see some really good acting, you're like, wow, it just hits you. You just connect with the emotion of it or whatever. Or you just see a really good scene and it's just played out really well, shot really well, whatever. And it all just comes together and just hits you and meets you where you're at. I'm not saying that this episode was like really deep or like really standout acting. It's like everyone's doing a great job, don't get me wrong. But like the way Trevor talks about acting, Ben Kingsley talks about acting and the job, what it is, the purpose of it, just to sort of express life, sort of bring a bit of yourself into the role, and talking about Simon's joys, his loss, his tragedy, his sadness, his frustration, and that connecting with the audience, and them not being alone in that. Knowing that they're not alone in that because of the performance that he's given and the way he's connecting to that authentic emotion and the experience that he's had in life. And then that then translates to the audience and they have that, like, that's real, man. That's real. Like when I watched Sinners and I saw Michael B. Jordan's doing his thing in dual roles and some of the, lights and shades of that. Wunmi Masako in her portrayal of Annie. Was that Annie? Or was that what's her name? Anyway, Heidi Seinfeld. Anyway, what I'm saying is when you have those really great acting moments, those moments that kind of connect and resonate with you, like it's not to deep it too much, but it can be slightly transcendent or at least really relatable, and you don't always know why in the moment you're connecting so much with that particular character or that particular scene or that emotion they're conveying, but that's just how it hits, kind of like music, when you're in a certain place and the music makes you feel certain things or you're already feeling something and the music heightens it, kind of like that. And that's why I love movies and film and stuff and like really good acting. At the end of the day, that's why it's so good. But yeah. Oh, this episode was obviously kind of like not a bottle episode, but takes place mostly in, I can't remember the guy's name, but Bobak Novak is the director's place, and the weird exercises he's trying to do to get people to show him why they. I don't even think he's doing it as a competitive thing. It's literally, compatibility test to see his script or his ideas working with the actor and seeing if it, makes the vision of where it is. So I've got a bit of headache right now. I need to drink some more. Anyway, all that to say, it's a bit of a weird episode, and it's very much an actor's episode, or at least auditioning episode. I don't know how they really go down because obviously I'm not a professional actor. I haven't tried to go out and get movie roles or work in any instance. But anyway, I just think it's really interesting on that side. Also, what's the other thing I wanted to say? Right, so there's a dream scene which I didn't realize was a dream scene where after flopping the first sort of audition within the house, Simon takes another run at it, and his scene partner is that Richard guy, and he calls him up pretending to be an old school friend, calling him a freak, and it's really touching a nerve on Simon. I thought he was acting really well, but it turns out he was just being real at it and ends up punching him through the face. And I literally gasped out loud. My mouth was open for ages and then it cut back to him being asleep in the chair, and I realised it's just a dream scene. I literally went, oh, for God. And my wife just laughed at me. And I was genuinely, I guess I was so caught up in Simon's struggle and wanting to be an actor and that was a successful actor, that I was really invested in that. And so to see him end up exposing himself with his powers in such a way, they actually ended up murdering a man. I was like, oh no, no, this is terrible. I was literally with him for a boy. But that's bad. Yeah, so obviously I'm on Simon's side. But Trevor is the thing these Department of Damage Control. And what's funny as well is because obviously in the real world you got like ICE, and not that Damage Control are operating like them, but they be doing some shady stuff, you know. I guess in their regards, their funding is being cut rather than being boosted. But anyway, it's not politics, I guess. But it's like you can see why they're trying to protect people, but the way they're going about it, like for instance, Simon hasn't, as far as I can see from the show and his history as a character, has not actually harmed anyone that didn't deserve it. You know, I guess what I'm saying is you have like, you know, the Avengers and superheroes running around and that. And then you have people like Simon who also have powers, but haven't necessarily done anything wrong. Potentially yet, I get it. But yeah, like what's the deal? It's funny because the way they're moving is like sort of how the X-Men, like mutants in X-Men and that, operate in that they are, the potential of their danger is just is enough to warrant them being detained or, you know, vilified or treated differently, unjustly, rather than the merit of what they've done in their character so far. Which I get a fear, you know, for being real. Like you don't want someone who someone who has exploding hands that can't really control that to be just running around. But at the same time, maybe the solution isn't locking all these people up. Maybe it's like helping them to understand their powers and use them better. And obviously, Simon isn't really necessarily interested in all that. He wants to be a movie star, which is fair enough. But also, you got to sort that out, man. You can't, you know what I mean? You got to get out under control because when you do lose it, you brought your mum's kitchen island. I would have been pissed as well. You just made that. It's even got a special fridge for wine. Not that I would use that for that purpose. I'd probably just take out all the shelves and use it as an extra fridge. But that's just me. You know, that's what I'm saying. Anyway, I've gone off track a lot on this one. I believe I can't remember where we started. Overall, I like this episode. I probably should have rated each episode I've gone. I'm going to give this one a tap straight to the veins. Episode 1 and 2, I'll give it the sandwich is filling but not satisfying, and everything beyond that, especially everything from 4 onwards, I'll give that a tap straight to my veins so far. But yeah, overall, I'm liking the show, and obviously, I think we know what my overall rating is going to be. But yeah, good show. Yes, let's continue and see what next episode is ahead. Okay, episode 7, Kathy Friedman. Yes, so the truth is finally out. Trevor's lie has been uncovered. It's funny in shows like this, the lie never lasts, does it? And I feel like now more than ever they don't hold the lie. There's only so long, obviously, you can keep a lie in any instance, even in real life. But yeah, it's never like, this was held for a while, don't get me wrong, in terms of the series. Just talking in general. But yeah, anyway. Yeah, another good episode. It's both the show is both comedic and tragic, but really interesting. Simon's powers are obviously tied to his emotions. And yeah, it's funny because being an actor, there's a range of emotions you have to explore. But they do say, I don't know who does say this, but apparently the hardest thing to act as yourself. So maybe there's some truth to that. Who knows? But yeah, I think overall what this show is capturing quite well is the actor's process. Well, actually, like I say, I don't know. I'm not a working actor, and nor have I tried to be. So it's going to all be, oh my gosh, fabrication. I cannot talk today. Anyway, and you know, I'm sure it's drawn from a place of truth. All these people making this thing in the industry are of the industry, so I'm sure there's that there. But yeah, it's a really interesting look at the character, and it is heartbreaking what's happening between Simon and Trevor, but obviously it's inevitable. How long can the lie continue? Either the damage control or himself are going to let it slip. It's just what's really tragic for Simon is his whole life. The only person he's probably felt he could trust is his dad, and obviously his dad sadly passed away. Still don't know how, but what he found in Trevor was not only a father figure but a friend. Someone who gets his world in terms of acting and the calling of that, and has been his cheerleader, has been encouraging him, has been his calm in the storm, and now that's all come crashing down. All the trust has gone, the friendship is shattered. But I just hope from this, I don't really know how Simon's gonna continue working with Trevor, having all that, unless he manages to forgive him. But I don't know. The finale, from what it is, about 35 minutes, and I feel like it takes a bit more than a half an hour episode to resolve all of that. You know what I mean? Plus the damage control being on your back. So yeah, I don't know where it's gonna go. It's basically what I'm saying. But as I've been saying this whole time, I'm not one of those. I predict this will happen. Let's see what my predictions will come. I predict this because of this. Red circles around stuff going on in the background. I don't know. I ain't got a clue. I'm just enjoying the ride. You know what I mean? I'm not really that guy. But I kind of feel like Simon will overcome to some degree, and because he does it. Not that he wants to drop the bag, but this is the role that he's been going for a lifetime. So he will become Wonder Man in the movie and possibly in life. As far as superheroism, he ain't done none of that from what I can see. Not really. He did save Trevor, but other than that, I ain't seen it. Maybe he has. Maybe we had some flashbacks to him doing that in his past life, but he does. I mean, one pretty consistent and apparent flaw of Simon's character is that he is very self-centered and a dick. Like, even to a certain degree, you know what I mean? Like, he's all about that acting and stuff and the movies and theatre and whatever. And he gets so sort of obsessed and bogged down in all these details about his character and what his character should be doing and what the background of the character should be and what they should be saying, that it becomes a bit all-consuming, and then it sort of can alienate the rest of the cast and crew. Even though he kind of tries to do it in a charming way, it just ends up alienating the rest of the cast and crew. And what was really sad in that episode, actually, was his little meet up with his ex. Obviously, because he was shook of what she said to Kathy Friedman, but also just like the fact that she knew, they lived together, like she said, she knew that he was powered, and was just kind of waiting for him to trust her enough to share that secret with him, even though she knew and stuck by him and stuff. And she could have gone. She's struggling actress too. She's trying to land a role. She's landing a role, and even when he was telling him about it, he just flipped it all around back to him. I've met people like that in life, man. It's exhausting. But yeah, just the fact that he couldn't be his true self, or even around her, who she, when she said she loved him, and I guess. It's the tragedy of it, because like part and parcel of it, he's never been able to let his guard down enough just in case the secret gets exposed, and then his world is opportunities of acting, all that is done. But on the flip side, also the side effect of it is he's become really, just all about self. Not all about self. Like you can see he cares for people and whatnot, but he just can't see past his own situation. It's sort of self-obsession, or whatever you call it, but to his own detriment. Like it doesn't even feel good when he's doing it. It's more of a consuming, paralyzing anxiety thing. So I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, so one more episode to go. I'm enjoying this, and Let's see if they land it with the final one. Will this get another series, or will he pop up in some of the movies? I don't know. I don't know if they're still doing that crossover stuff anymore, Marvel. I'm sure they probably will. If people like it enough. I don't know if enough people are watching it, though. You think people are watching this? I don't know. What do you think? Have you been watching it? You must have been if you're listening to me right now. But anyway, let's see how we go. All right, episode 8, Yucca Valley, the finale of Wonder Man. Yeah, man, this show did it, man. I really like this. I really enjoyed this as a whole. I enjoyed the journey. Enjoyed the end more than the beginning, I guess, in a way. But no, it's all good. It's all good. It's good stuff, man. Like, Ben Kingsley and Yahya Abdul. Oh no, yeah, Yahya. I can't remember his full name. So I'm so sorry. I'll look it up later. But yeah, man, they really did a great. They were a great pairing, and there's a few things I'm quite happy for with this show, but one of them definitely is the fact that Ben Kingsley got. Don't get me wrong, like obviously he had his time with this character, he got to reprise it again in Shang-Chi, obviously. But I think I love the twist in Iron Man 3, like, because I think like the Mandarin as a character, from what it was in the comic, obviously there's potential to make it less shall we say offensive, less politically correct. But I feel like the twist they made in the tone with that movie worked. But what we got to see in this show in Wonder Man was that, that the character of Trevor Slattery got a lot more fleshed out, a lot more depth to him. He wasn't just the comic relief or the butt of the joke, you know what I mean? And yeah, I like him as a character, man. He's still, there was still, some funny stuff and whatnot, but, at the end of the day, he's just a guy who wants to act, who longs to perform and do his calling, and shares that with Simon, but also has never really, has had the opportunity time and time again to prove that, but never got to see it out beyond, post Mandarin, I guess. But yeah, man, it's cool. I liked it, and I would say when Simon was studying this guy, Chuck, under the pretense of studying for a new movie, I kind of clocked that about when he agreed to take him to work with him, where this was going. I knew it was going to be a breakout situation. But yeah, it's cool, man. And, Simon's obviously learned to control and hone his powers somehow. And yeah, I'm glad the movie went well for him and whatnot. And yeah, it's cool. Very like MCU outfit for him there. And it'd be interesting to see how deep he follows into the MCU if they go that route. If he pops up in a movie or whatever. Or even if not, I feel like this is cool. This is a nice little separate little story, little segue. I'm sure it'll be referenced and whatnot because of Hollywood and that within the world of MCU. But it's like, it's a very meta movie, meta show. The show about an actor being in a superhero movie. So, there's them layers. But yeah, overall, like, this episode definitely tapped straight to my veins. I just loved the story. I loved how it played out. And, like I said earlier, Simon isn't like the best guy, but you can kind of see from his past why he is kind of the way he is. Somewhere along the way, you just want him to win. You just want to win for him, And, he really got the win here, and Trevor really helped him with that. And he paid it back. And I'm glad that Trevor, redeemed himself, enough to take the fall for Simon.
And yeah, man, I'm glad they made it work, you know? I don't know how Trevor's gonna be holding it down as a fugitive or whatever. And again, like obviously the real world always seeps in, and I don't know when this was written and filmed and all that, but obviously with all the stuff going on with Trump's ICE and all that, or rather the guy who's actually running it, I think his name's Steve something. Anyway, when you see like a Supermax prison kind of thing, I thought we might have got a few cameos in there of some other supervillains that I put in there, but obviously that would be very expensive to do, possibly. And obviously you got the raft, and this is not the raft, so I don't know. Anyway, I guess what I'm saying is, or maybe even it would have been cool to see the Doorman in there, you know. But anyway, that's besides the point. What am I saying? Yeah, it was nice that he broke him out, and yeah, they kind of made amends, you know. Trevor was almost disappointed to see him there, because it's like, yo, bro, I did that for you. I took the fall for you, man. You're supposed to be, but yeah, found a way. So that's all good. I like the show, man. It's good. And yeah, I don't know, man. Like, where they were against other MCU shows, definitely on the higher scale, I'd put it not on par with, but definitely up there with, like, in terms of, like, all that's been shown. Put it up there with WandaVision. What else did I really like? That's really good. There's been some good shows. I'm just thinking, like, MCU non previous Netflix ties or whatever. So I'm not counting Daredevil. My mind's gone blank. Loki was good. What else? Well, I don't know, innit? But anyway, yeah. Another show. What did you guys think? Let me know. And yeah, just briefly on the race swapping. Yeah. So obviously Simon Williams. I mean, this version of Simon. There's different versions of Simon in the comic and in animation as well. Like, for instance, in Marvel's, I probably mentioned this before, but in Avengers, Mightiest Heroes, which was a great show, by the way. He was a scientist. In this, he's an actor. I believe in the comics, he's also been an actor. He's probably been both as well. But yeah, race swapping. I feel like this one I ain't mad at, I mean, not that I'm really mad at it most times anyway, but this one is like, yeah, you could do that. You can take some liberty with that, because I don't feel like his race isn't integral to his character, for me at least anyway. And I know what some people might be thinking, but what if they were to swap a black character for a white character? You'd have a problem with that. Absolutely, I would. And I'll tell you why. Because this kind of thing, reparations, if you ask me. You know what I mean? Like, for, the amount of times that white people have played roles where it's people of color. I mean, look at some of the Bible epic flicks and stuff like that, some of that. How many times has an Egyptian been played by a white person or whatever? You know what I mean? It's like, well, even Greek people. Yeah, the list never ends. So I'm not saying two wrongs make a right way, but I'm just saying, where, for me personally, if race isn't integral to the person's character or the story they're telling, then who cares, man? You know what I mean? Either way, I mean, but yeah, I would get a bit precious if a white person played a black character, an originally black character, or a white person played an originally person of color. I would feel away, because, like I say, history and all that. But in this instance, aside from that, it doesn't really matter to me. So make it out what you will. But what do you think? Is it a big deal? I don't really think. I mean, do you think it's a big deal? Are you mad? Are you mad at that? Really feeling it in your chest? You that close to Wonder Man that you're like, yo, can't be doing this. You know what I mean? But yeah, there you go. Good show, man. So yeah, Wonder Man, as a series on a whole, tap it straight to my veins.
Okay, so those were my thoughts on the show. But what did you think? Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? As something a little bit different from Marvel, or did you want some more of the same? Is it something you're even interested in at all? Like, what did you want Marvel to be hitting out with, if anything? Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and feelings on it are. I'd love to hear from you. And of course, you've been listening to myself. That's Miles with Y. And you can follow me across all social platforms at Miles Reviews. And as I said before, please do all that good stuff. Share, like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification button to stay up to date with all content and videos I'm making. And I hope you guys are well out there enjoying that film, TV, and music. But most importantly, life. Alright guys, I'll catch you on the next one. God bless and all the rest.